In the spring of 1876, the United States government committed to an aggressive military campaign. The objective was to force the Lakota and Cheyenne tribes out of the unceded Black Hills, a region where miners were already hunting for gold, and onto government-controlled reservations. The Army had initially hoped to strike in the winter to catch the tribes immobilized. Instead, the elements broke the offensive. General George Crook's column retreated in March, crippled by starvation and freezing temperatures that killed his horses and demoralized his men. This failure landed on the desk of Lieutenant General Philip Sheridan. As the commander responsible for the Great Plains, Sheridan was under intense pressure from the Grant administration. Washington demanded a decisive victory to justify the escalating costs and political risks of the war. Sheridan responded by organizing a massive spring offensive. He planned to push 3 separate columns of infantry and cavalry into thousands of square miles of unmapped, hostile territory, intending to corner the roaming bands near the Yellowstone River. The pressure to produce results after the winter blunders created a rushed, dangerous atmosphere. Army leadership began to prioritize speed and aggression over careful scouting, setting the stage for a campaign driven by desperation. By June 21st, the expedition's nerve center was the Far West, a 190-foot steamboat moored on the Yellowstone River. The shallow draft vessel served as a floating lifeline, hauling tons of grain and ammunition into the heart of the wilderness. Outside the boat, the riverbank had been churned into a muddy supply depot. Piles of cordwood and crates of supplies sat in the dirt, a small industrial outpost struggling to maintain order in a vast, untamed landscape. Inside the boat's lantern-lit cabin, the campaign's 3 key leaders met at dusk. Brigadier General Alfred Terry, Colonel John Gibbon, and Lieutenant Colonel George Armstrong Custer leaned over the table to finalize their march. Custer sat at that table with his entire military career on the line. He had recently been rebuked by President Grant for his political activities in Washington, and was only allowed to lead the 7th Cavalry after a series of desperate appeals. He arrived on the Far West as a disgraced officer, hungry to reclaim his reputation. Isolated in that tiny room, these 3 men confidently charted the movements of thousands of soldiers. They were drafting a war plan based on assumptions made in the dark, completely disconnected from the massive force of Lakota and Cheyenne warriors gathering just a few days' march away. The commanders outlined a strategy of convergence on the table, intending to trap the Native American bands between 3 separate forces. Terry and Gibbon's infantry would march north along the Bighorn River, entering the valley from the top. Meanwhile, Custer's 7th Cavalry would sweep south down Rosebud Creek. Crossing the divide, they would close the pincer and box the enemy in. The plan rested on a single foundational assumption, that the village would scatter and flee the moment the army appeared. The commanders designed this trap to snare a running enemy, ignoring the possibility that the tribes might choose to stand and fight. To ensure his force could move fast to prevent that escape, Custer actively declined extra firepower. He refused Terry's offer of Gatling guns and extra cavalry, insisting the heavy artillery would only hamper his march across the rugged terrain. The following morning, Terry handed Custer his written orders. They contained a fatal lack of firm oversight, explicitly stating that Terry would not impose precise orders because he reposed too much confidence in his subordinates' zeal, energy, and ability. The perfect plan drawn on the map was actually a mechanism for failure. It was built entirely on underestimating the enemy and granting Custer the discretionary freedom to follow his worst glory-hunting instincts. On June 22nd, the 7th Cavalry paraded away from the Far West in high spirits. As they broke their logistical tether and rode into the plains, Custer assured his superiors that his regiment would handle whatever they found. 3 days later, on June 25th, Custer arrived at the Little Bighorn Valley. His scouts located the camp, but the reality on the ground immediately shattered the assumptions made in the steamboat cabin. Stretching for miles along the riverbank was a massive city of Lakota and Cheyenne lodges. Thousands of warriors had gathered to defend their families, presenting a unified force far larger than anything Terry or Gibbon had estimated. Still convinced that the Indians would flee if they weren't struck immediately, Custer refused to wait for Gibbon's blocking force. he split his regiment and launched a premature attack against the massive encampment. The warriors did not run. They swarmed the offensive, overwhelming Custer's isolated battalions. In the chaotic fighting that followed, the Lakota and Cheyenne achieved a total annihilation of Custer and his immediate command. The abstract lines drawn on a map on June 21st meant nothing when they met the physical reality and overwhelming strength of the Plains tribes. In the devastating aftermath, crews stripped the Far West of its status as a headquarters. They covered the decks in freshly cut grass to create beds for the wounded survivors from the other battalions, turning the war room into a floating hospital. Captain Grant Marsh then performed a legendary feat of navigation, racing the steamboat 710 miles downriver in just 54 hours to deliver the survivors and the shocking news of the massacre to the rest of the nation. But just days before that flight, there was the quiet evening of June 21st. From the perspective of the moored steamboat, the 7th Cavalry had looked invincible as they disappeared into the darkening plains. The strategic confidence and the discretionary freedom granted inside the Far West that night ultimately served as a signed death warrant for George Armstrong Custer and his men.